Sorry, Obama, I'm a black man and I'm voting for Donald Trump for president, and there is no amount of lecturing or bullying or shaming that you can do that is going to make me change that decision. I am not afraid to vote for Kamala Harris because she is a woman. I refuse to vote for Kamala Harris because she has spent the last 4 years destroying this country. She has spent the last 4 years throwing up the borders to illegal immigrants. She has spent the last 4 years destroying this economy. We have seen over the past couple of months that she is not fit to be president. She can barely speak. She can't articulate a vision. And actually, she's pretty stupid. And if you think that I, as a black man, am going to let that waltz into the White House, that is going to get my vote because you're lecturing me and you're bullying me, and you may be the surrogate black dad for a lot of fatherless black boys that are running around this country, but I got a dad, I know who he is, and it ain't you. I'm voting for Donald Trump for president. Take it or leave it. Sorry, Obama.
Hello, America, and hello, Georgia. I'm Vernon Jones, former state representative from the great state of Georgia, and I'm out doing my normal morning jog. By the way, it's a great day to be in Georgia. It's a beautiful fall day. But anyhow, I just had to pause for the cause. I, like many of you, observed and listened and watched Barack Obama last night as he addressed black men. But as a black man, he did everything but address us. What he did, he berated black men, he rebuked black men, he even scolded black men, primarily because we will not fall in line and vote for Madam Lock Up Her Brother, Kamala Harris, because that's her record. As if black men are too stupid that we can't vote our self-interest, what's best for us, our pocketbook, our families. As if we've been immune to the past 3.5 years, as if we don't know that gas prices have been higher under Kamala Harris, food prices higher under Kamala Harris, interest rates on home mortgages higher under Kamala Harris, and runaway borders under Kamala Harris. But you know what? That's what the liberal white Democratic Party did. They dispatched Barack Obama out there to whip black men back on the plantation to vote Democrat. And you know, President Obama, he meant a lot to black people, but he didn't do anything for black people. And for him to want to come down from his mansion in Martha's Vineyard and tell black men how we should vote, really? You don't even live in Chicago anymore. You left your black community, Barack Obama, and you want to tell us how to vote? We're not having that, and we're not voting for Kamala Harris.
So I'm C.J. Pearson, one of the young black men that President Obama yesterday tried to lecture into supporting Kamala Harris just because she, quote, looks like me. Now, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I think that my ancestors fought far too hard for my right to vote in this country for me to support someone just because they look like me. Especially when that person who looks like me doesn't give a damn about me. Kamala Harris, throughout her entire political career, hasn't done a single thing for black people, black men, or anyone, actually, for that matter. She failed to secure the border. She hasn't created a single job. She is actually probably uniquely terrible at her job. Barack Obama, another person who didn't do a damn thing for black people when he was president, believes that black men should set aside our disagreements, set aside our grievances, and just take one for the team. Barack, we've been taking one for the team when it comes to supporting the Democrat Party for decades. And what do we have to show for it? Our inner cities are destroyed. Violent crime is up. We are living in poverty in too many communities across this country. That is the reality of progressive policies in this country and all across America. So no, Barack, I'm not going to support Kamala Harris because you said that is my duty as a young black man. No, I'm going to support Donald Trump, the president who actually delivered for black people, brought about the lowest black unemployment rate in our nation's history, the president who actually gave a damn about our community. That's not rocket science, Barack. It's common sense.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. I have to laugh at that. It's kind of funny. Okay. Hey, James. Hi. Thank you for being here tonight. Hi, Samaya. Long time no see, girl. I'm glad that you're here. Gwen, thank you for being here as always. So the issue that we're having right now is with this Kamala Harris voting and black men not voting. It's kind of questionable because I'm hearing one one thing on one side, and then I'm hearing that Black men are not voting for Kamala Harris. And I can't with them either win. And so it's just kind of mind boggling. And I think it's kind of funny because I was going to do a show about this last month, actually. And no one was really talking about it. So, but I had got caught up in life, doing a lot of things, running around, whatever, and being outside. And all of a sudden, everybody's talking about how Black men are not voting for Kamala Harris. Now you have people saying that, you know, there is a high rate of 18% possibly of Black men not voting. And then when I hear so another commentator talk about it, they are saying basically that's not true because they're not polling all Black men. They're not polling a high number of Black men. When they do these polls, you know, you don't know who they're questioning. You don't know who they're asking, right? So last night, I was going to talk about this very issue, and we got on a whole different topic about immigration and all kind of stuff, you know. So it was a very interesting night last night. But tonight, I'm going to show some clips of Charlamagne tha God's interview where he sat down with Kamala Harris and had a conversation with her. I saw the interview. I thought it was a good interview. Then I'm going to show you the video and the interview that Kamala Harris did with Fox News, Mr. Baer. And I mean, you know, I thought she held her ground like a VP, to be honest with you. And I thought it was well. I don't know if you all seen it or not. But anyway, if you're new over here, please hit the like button for me. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you all being here tonight. So Charlamagne tha God interviewed Miss Harris, VP Harris. And like I said, I thought the video was pretty good. I mean, the interview was done pretty well. I think they asked some good questions that Black men want to talk about. They talked about reparations, of course, and other things. This is a video actually that's about reparations. So let's get into it.
Vice President Kamala Harris joined Charlamagne tha God for a wide-ranging interview in Detroit, my hometown. Before they got into it, Charlamagne called her out for sounding so scripted. Let's watch.
You know, one thing they've been saying, a lot of your press hits get criticized. You know, folks say you come off as very scripted. They say you like to stick to your talking points. And some media says you have...
That would be called discipline.
Oh, okay. Speak to that.
But go on.
Charlamagne also questioned why Harris hasn't pushed back on Trump's repeated labeling of her as border czar.
Why do you allow them to call you the border czar when that's not even that wasn't your
I'm
role?
not giving him permission for that.
Oh, you're right. But but I mean, you don't push back on it because that wasn't your role. What?
Fact checkers have made that clear. Look, if I responded to every name he called me, I wouldn't be focused on the things that actually help the American people, and that's my focus.
That is true.
Harris then summed up her view of this election for the American people. Let's watch.
You have two choices, or you don't vote. But you have two choices if you do. And it's two very different visions for our nation. One mind that is about taking us forward and progress and investing in the American people, investing in their ambitions, dealing with their challenges. And the other, Donald Trump, is about taking us backward.
The other is about fascism. Why can't we just say it?
Yes, we can say that.
Yeah. I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded.
Now, recent polls have shown Harris losing support from Black men. She addressed the possibility of reparations for slavery. Let's watch.
But Black Americans are heavily asked to vote Democrat in every election for over half a century, with very little in return. What are your plans to address these very important issues and change that narrative?
Thank you, Zeke.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for your work. So to your point, yes, I am running to be a president for all Americans. That being said, I do have clear eyes about the disparities that exist and the context in which they exist, meaning history, to your point. So my agenda, well, first of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear about that position.
Well, I think Kamala Harris was right and smart to do this.
So, hold on. So she laid out this plan, right, about the reparations. And here's my thing about this. And I was having this discussion with my sister. Why? I understand that we, that Black Americans want reparations. I understand what people went through during slavery. I know the history behind it. I understand the struggles. I've seen enough documentaries about it. And I thought it was a great question that the man proposed, because of course there's a lot of people out there that want reparations from what their ancestors had to go through. I totally get that 100%, right? Because remember a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, I want my reparations. But I think it's all about generational wealth. And Black people in this country who have ancestors that were slaves should get some type of foundation where they can build generational wealth, because we all know that history did not allow for Black people, Black Americans, to have anything. The whole 7 acres and a mule thing, yeah, they gave it to, but they took it back. So it's a lot. It's so much to go within the history of this country when it's about Black American people that are descendants of slaves. So I get that. At some point, though, we have to say, when are we as Black American people going to start coming up with real solutions to our problems? When are we going to start doing that and stop asking? They never did anything for me. Nobody's ever did anything for me, because what I'm seeing across the board, like a video I showed earlier about Black men saying, well, what have they done for us? They haven't done anything for Black people. If I read one more statement from someone Black on a blog saying that these people have never done anything for me, what are they doing for me? I grew up poor. Well, that's not, at some point you got to just stop doing that, because there's all types of bills and policies out there that will help Black people. But then you turn around and then you don't want this Black woman to be in office. I don't understand that. So this is boggling my mind altogether. And I understand that Black men out here may feel disenfranchised. They may feel some kind of way. But the stuff that I've been seeing on TikTok and on Twitter and all the derogatory names they've been calling her out of her name, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's dumb, she's stupid, the B word, the S word, all kind of madness, right? When are we, hi, Norris, when are we as people, as Black people, going to really come together? You understand? When are we going to really come together? And if we're trying to fight this fight, why are some of us only looking out for themselves? They're not really fighting. They're not fighting the cause. The cause is about them being seen. And that's what I'm seeing with some of these influencers. They're not really down for the fight. That's what I'm seeing. That's my opinion at it. But I'm getting to the point, like Gwen said, I can't with them. So I thought the interview was good. I have other videos too, but I thought the interview that she did with Charlamagne was very, very good. I thought there was some questions that she answered, and I hope that people that watch this interview say, you know what? I'm gonna go with this woman, because my odds of winning in America is way better than winning it with Donald Trump. I already voted, so I know you all know how I voted. So I had hope when I saw that. So it released some of my anxiety when I saw the video. The men were very nice to her. They were very respectful. I thought the interview was well done. And a lot of people don't like Charlamagne the God. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan because I think he's just, when he's with some people, he's trying to be funny or whatever. And then when he was with other people, he's whatever. So I thought this interview was well done. And I thought that she actually handled the questions very well. And she gave answers, with the $25,000, for first home-time buyers, with the $20,000, I believe, to start a business, all those things. And people were, from the comments that I was reading, people were upset because they were like, she's not answering the question. What is she going to do for Black people? She's America's, when she wins, she will be America's president. I don't understand why Black people think that this woman should sit up there and say, yeah, I'm going to be the Black people's president. Because, when Obama was in office, it was the same exact thing. He ain't Black enough. Right. So I don't know the psyche with some Black, with the Black people out here. I'm trying to understand. I was talking to my husband this morning because I saw a video that just upset me, about another Black guy who's big time blogger. Podcaster. I think he was in Obama's campaign, actually. And he is someone that is, fighting for Palestinians' freedom from the occupation of Israel. And I literally looked it up. It has something to do. Let me backtrack. So Kamala was saying, made a statement about Indigenous Day and Columbus Day. And her statement basically, was very upfront, now we're going to call it Indigenous Day and blah, blah, blah. So this guy comes out and he says that she was being hypocritical because how America and how this administration gives money to Israel to occupy and to take out Palestinians. So, my heart goes out to the Palestinian people. I have some Palestinian friends that I know, and they educated me on what was happening in Palestine. Here's my issue with this particular Black person and Miss Amanda Seals, who's out here advocating for all of this. And I believe Amanda Seals is close to our age. I think she's in her 40s, right? And this other guy, I think he's in 40s, late 30s, early 40s. Where were y'all with Donald Trump? Where were all these protesters for Palestinians during the Trump era and before? Because when I looked it up, Palestine has been under occupation of Israel for 50 years. Nobody has ever, from what I looked up, has ever protested until 2023. So why all of a sudden, when you have this woman that's in office and that's about to run for president, that during the time she's VP, and then you have Joe Biden, and now she's running for president, and then you have people saying you shouldn't vote for her because she's giving money to Israel to take out Palestinian people. This has been going on for 50 years. This did not just happen the last 3.5 years. So why wasn't anybody doing it going after Donald Trump and protesting Donald Trump? Nobody was doing all this protesting during Donald Trump's time, during Obama's time, during Bush time, during Bill Clinton's time. Nobody was protesting. You decide to protest now when there's a Black woman in the VP position, vice president's position, and now running for office. I don't understand that. So, and this has a lot to do because it's Black people. I'm talking to Black people, specifically Black people, Black voters, because you're going out and you're telling Black people not to vote. Don't vote for her. Vote for Jill Stein, who just got an endorsement from the Ku Klux Klan man, David Duke. I need y'all to make that make sense to me. So now David Duke is endorsing Jill Stein, right? So you telling Black folks they need to go vote for her because she's fighting for Palestine. And then she just got this racist man to endorse her, David Duke. Make it make sense. No one should be telling anybody not to vote for this woman, and especially if you're a Black person. Now, I've always been very clear on it is your right to vote for whomever you want to vote for. I get it. But we are over here fighting for our lives at this moment in time. Because I'm not the only one that believes that Donald Trump will divide this country. Let me say it this way. He will divide this country into blue states and red states. And he'll put all the people of color into blue states. So now, and they will call these camps. Blue states will become camps and red states we'll be divided like Gaza and Israel. So when I tell you Project 2025 is not a joke, it's not a joke. I'm not the only one that believes that. There's plenty of videos of people are just like flabbergasted about what Donald Trump is, what all the statements that Donald Trump is saying, very fascist statements that he's making, right, when he's already divided us, So you have a lot of people out here that are literally going crazy. I was watching Don Lemon this morning and people are scared, not sleeping, I don't even get a good night's sleep. To be honest with you, I don't. And I'm going to weave, like Donald Trump said, I'm going to weave my thoughts together. Okay. Back down to the point where Black men, I don't understand why it is so hard to support this Black woman. So we're going to be out here in this fight. We should be fighting together. Hold on, excuse me. So my husband, I was talking to my husband after I had watched this video, whatever. He basically says to me, this is not like the Black people that march with, we're not like the Black people that marched with Martin Luther King. Those times are gone. People think completely different now. When we don't have the same mindset. Some of us do. Some of us is like, come on, Black folks, we got this. Let's stick together. Some of us are like that. And then there are others that's like, no, I'm not with you. I can't march down that path for freedom. I'm not going to do it. Joy, what is joy? I'm good. I have a little money in my pocket. I make about $150,000, $70,000 a year. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm educated. I'm over here, Candace Owens said, Owen it over here. I'm good. I'm good. I'm with the people now. I'm okay. I'm a little higher than you, so I'm okay. So I find it kind of, I'm not saying, because you didn't leave me behind. I don't think we got left behind. I think that you forgot who you are. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump, who loves his Blacks, He loves his blacks. You know, he's getting the black male vote, and he feels like, you know, those are my blacks. Like you are some type of pet. You're his blacks. Okay. Remember that. That's his own words. This video of him saying it. I don't mind looking it up and finding it for you. He loves his blacks. That's why he makes the gold shoes and the fake $100,000 watches. The other in the country is, you know, messed up. People can't even buy bacon, but they can buy those gold shoes and that $59 Bible and that $100,000 watch. Right. So black men, she has laid out a plan for black men that as far as an education, uplifting black men, giving them a little bit of a handout to push them forward, to take care of their families, which everyone will benefit from. And that is what she said, right? So her plan will help everybody, as it always does, just like the civil rights movement helped all the people that have come over here, you know, the people that have come to this country that, you know, benefit from the movement of Black people marching for freedoms and civil rights. People benefit from that. And that's okay. That's why it's there. But for our Black men, and I think it's a lot of younger Black men, to be honest with you, except for the video that I just showed you, the older Black men in the middle, but there's other two young guys. And the first guy that came on and talked, you know, he got beat up by some Trump supporters, some MAGA. Anyway, which is another story to tell. But Harris, I think she's going to win. My anxiety is high after listening to all the hoopla and stuff about Black men not voting for Harris. I don't believe that is 18%. From my understanding, it may be more around the 14%, which is, I believe that's what it was before. It wasn't that high before. Donald Trump is not going to get the numbers when it comes to Black people. He's not. His numbers with women, and particularly white women, have gone down. It's down to 1%. So his numbers have been going all the way down. Women are going to save the day. It's going to be a close race. I voted yesterday. If you wasn't here with me yesterday, I voted yesterday. I got out there in the morning. I early voted. Yesterday was our first time. It was the first day of early voting, and I went out and I voted. The lines were not long. It was a very easy process. You know, here in Georgia, all you have to do is show your ID, and that's just what I did. I showed my ID. I went in there, I voted, and that was it. It was a wrap. You know, I saw some young Black people came out. I know that's funny because I live in Georgia, but some young Black people, female and male, came out and voted. I don't know who they voted for, because right now they're saying that Donald Trump is leading in the state of Georgia when it comes to early votes. These are exit polls. Everyone is not, you know, going to tell you the answer when they're exiting out. I voted, they're not going to do all that. But the numbers are up for Donald Trump. Now stay focused on this, because they said this is what happened last election in 2020 when Joe Biden was running. It was the same scenario. The red vote was high, the Republican vote was high, and at the end, we showed up and we showed out. Okay, so that's a positive. We'll see what happens. Now, to this other video I have to show you, the Fox News video. I don't know if you all saw it, but that's my little stance on the Black male vote. And I'm going to show you the video, and then I'm going to drop the link for anyone to come up and say their piece or how they feel about Black men not voting for Kamala Harris. Hey, Marcella. her they came through with early voting. They did. It was 329 300,000 329,000 people showed up. I think that's what it was. It was either 326 or 329,000 people showed up early voting. So that's broke a record because last time it was 139,000. So basically 200,000 more people came. But right now they say that Donald Trump is in the lead, but only by like 1 percentage point. That's not high. But like I said, that happened the last election. So anyway, let me find this video, guys. I'm getting text messages and all that stuff. Hold on just a second. All right. Ooh. Yeah, I'm talking about the Fox interview. Give it a show. This is why I have to. There you go.
Right. You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration
I think she will.
released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is
You estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised.
You can't hear it
because I agree with you. It is
okay. Hold on.
Topic of discussion that people want to rightly have, and you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Hold on just a second. Let me fix this. I know what the issue is, child. Now I know what the issue is. All right, let's see. Google. I'm always having issues. Hold on. So did you bloop bloop bloop. Hold on just a second. Bear with me. Let me do it this way. Whew. I wish I had some music playing. Okay, here it is. All right. Yeah, so I think she'll survive 2 hours with Rogan. I think Rogan respects Kamala Harris. Can you hear it? Put a 1 in the chat if you don't mind, if you can hear this. Whenever it decides to play.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country.
I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a
which
number?
is-
Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million? You know, voters tell pollsters all over the
Can you hear?
country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a
which
number?
is-
Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of 6
system
million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the Senate,
I'm
and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising,
Okay.
and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
Six
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise.
So when I saw that, I was shocked to see Cory Booker, of all people, to sit up there and go against the bill. So I don't know what else was in that particular bill, because that it all came with something. So I understand that she's saying, you know, they had this bill to, you know, very conservative bill to stop the flow of people coming in. But I do believe there were other things attached to that bill. And so that was one reason. And as well, because it was a very conservative bill too. So, yeah.
Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those
I think it's
families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungari's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss, sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in
her?
all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist, they will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett. Well, that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question. There were 90-plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because There's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what, you got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in this presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassessment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen. Over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump...
The significance of that.
You call Donald Trump... he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, in the several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those
is,
proxies were getting funded by
my
Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to
oil
Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates
and then
in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished
and
the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision
and there are critics
that they feel.
who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more to say,
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why we invited you here.
I invite everyone to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
and that's why we invited you here, to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
and
they're giving me a hard rap here.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, okay. So I felt like she held her ground and she did what she was supposed to do. Now, let me show you the video of Donald Trump. And let me find it. I got all these kind of videos up here, honey. Let me find the video of Donald Trump basically saying, here it is. Basically saying that he wanted to, there you go, use military force on American people. Justin K said those bringing the true light are being shown in darkness, while those
I missed
who
something
bring
during last week's Donald Trump
phony
rally in Aurora. Was standing there, heard it, just wasn't sure if I heard what I thought I heard, so we did not play it back to you here. It seemed that Trump was talking in Aurora about using the U.S. military against Americans that he says hate this country. Listen to what he said.
We have the greatest
military in the world, but you have to know how to use them. You have to know how to use them. But I protect you against outside enemies. But you know, I always say we have the outside enemy. So you can say China, you can say Russia, you can say Kim Jong-un, you can say, but that's not, it's going to be fun. If you have a smart president, no problem. It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia.
All right, the military thing and the enemy within, like the comments are kind of next to each other, but it's not super clear. Well, over the weekend on Fox, Trump just came out and said what he seemed to be saying in Aurora, that he has a desire to use the U.S. military against American citizens.
I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
The Harris campaign responded to that, saying that it should, quote, alarm every American who cares about their freedom and security.
Okay. So look, I'm dropping the link. Anybody want to come up? I've been dropping the link. W1 said he wanted to come up. Scary to hear that someone who wants to be a president of the United States of America to make a statement like that. That's very scary. Okay. This is why I'm having issues sleeping at night, because I need Black men, Black people to get out and vote, Black men and women. Okay, so I dropped the link. Yes, the spiritual gangster, Val. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Look, I thought the interview that she did, I think she stood her ground with this Fox news person. I thought she stood her ground. I thought that she answered the questions the way she was supposed to do. He tried to make her, say something negative against Joe Biden so they would have a clip to play on Fox News to make her look like she's not loyal, and she's not loyal to the president of the United States. The one thing I did not like that he was saying the whole time is your administration. This is Joe Biden's administration. She's just the VP. And although she did say, I can't think of anything that I would do different. Right. She's supporting the president of the United States, which she's supposed to do as a VP. She's supposed to support her president. She's not the president. She's there to take on tasks that he gives her, not to run the country. Right? Hi, Mel.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. You know what? I think the interview, she did do good. I think she did do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think that for me, they all sound the same. They all sound the same. At this point, it seems like all the people on that network and a lot of people that want to vote for him always talk about immigration, and that's what they focus on. But as I said last night to the other person who was decent enough to come out, I would love for Fox News Network and all of supporters to talk about the 22nd Amendment. I want them to talk more about that, because that is in major jeopardy if Donald Trump gets into office.
So the 22nd Amendment is him being able to.
Well, for me, that it seems like that's the one where if you're in office, especially as a president, you can't be in there for 12 years. You can only be in there for 8 years. And early on, he was saying a lot of times that he wanted to overturn the 22nd Amendment, where you would end up, somebody in office can be there for, as much as they are in Russia. They could be there for 20, 30 years in the office. You know, and then, you know, God forbid he did get in office, he would only be there for 4 years. He wouldn't be there for another 8 and 12 and all that kind of stuff. But the Fox News community, they never want to talk about that. It's almost like if the people like that are like zombies, where they don't see the independent direct. I don't care how much you like a man or woman in office. As I said last night, even for a person who's Democratic, I wouldn't want a Democrat to be in office and in one position for 12 and 18 years. No, 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 no. I mean, I would say that publicly right here, even with Kamala, with the vice president coming to president, I wouldn't want her to be there for 20 years. No, I mean, I would want more, because the stuff, you know what the thing is, because the danger is, as we can see on the Supreme Court, is that time's changing all the time very fast. And we don't want anybody sitting there with these belief systems who don't know how to work the internet correctly, who don't know how to keep up with the times. And we need that to be overturning all the time, because if you have people with belief systems from the 1950s, 60s, and the 30s or whatever, it's going to slow down the country, you know. So yeah, I definitely don't want it, but they will sideswipe that all the time. And also, they don't want to also answer the question, okay, so who is the real Donald Trump? Is it the one who was first elected? Because everybody who went in office with you, a lot of those people didn't get presidential immunity. They went to prison. They went to prison. They got they weren't protected. So these people, families, like, I'm voting for the vice president. I'm voting for her because this man made agreements and basically set up all my family members. You know, so there's a lot of the COVID, the pandemic, and how hundreds of thousands of people died under his watch. Like, these are things that they never really talk about on Fox News. Really, they don't talk about it over there. You know, but they always talk about this myth again. If you know history, right now people like him. It's always a person like that, as you said, in Germany, and of course the atrocities that happen in Africa. It's always a dictator who says, the reason I'm dictating and destroying bodies and destroying families and stuff like that is because this idea of somebody practicing demonology, eating blood and all type of craziness. Because the same thing when the people came here to America, these beautiful Native American people living their lives, they called them demons. They said they was out here, eating on bodies, being cannibals, and that was not what was happening. They said the same thing in Africa. Now we got people from Haiti. God bless the people from Haiti. They coming over, and not as big as people coming from different countries, and they saying these people are basically practicing voodoo and eating raw chickens and stuff like that. It's always the same thing. So I don't understand.
Ducks and cats and dogs.
Yeah, I mean, in 2024, ain't nobody eating raw, doing none of that kind of crap. That's crazy. Absolutely insane.
I think the rhetoric, though, I think some of the rhetoric that Donald Trump is pushing is getting to people. So I was reading a little bit of an article that was saying how in Ohio, the voter turnout actually is showing that Donald Trump is getting to people, trying to put fear in people. And that is some of the things that they're saying, is that he's doing it on purpose. This is a tactic that they used during the time when the caucus was running against George Bush Sr. Same tactic. And with the Willie Horton, person, black man, that they showed, like, they're coming in and they're killing, doing all this to you, going after your people. That was a time when people would hold their women would walk across the street and they'd hold their purses and stuff, or get on the elevator scared of black men because they pushed that narrative. So it's always been a racial thing. And I think what's happening, because I talked about black men not voting for Kamala, and W1 basically saying, this is a different time. This is not your Martin Luther King marchers. We are in different times, and the mindset is not there, right? Because as my sister said it today, she said, what's happening with black voters, and I'm gonna weave it back together. What's happening with black voters, black male voters, is some feel disenfranchised, but then others feel like, I got my money, I'm doing fine, I'm making my 6 figures, I'm good. But what they're not, like I said last night, you rather give up, what is your freedom what is your money without freedom? So you get to walk around with your 6 figures, right? And you're free to do whatever you want to do right now, right? Women can walk around, be half naked, they can watch these walk videos and Megan's the Stallions and the Sexy Reds and all of that, and that's all good, and that's your glamour, and you're doing fine, and you can go wherever you want to go. You can cross all kinds of state lines, and you can do whatever you want to do, being whatever you want to be. But if Donald Trump gets elected, according to Project 2025, which is his agenda, right? Because he's mentioned in it 314 times. That's all going to change. And people of color, especially Black folks, will be hindered the most. It will affect us the most, right? Department of Education. I talked about all this last night, right? So
yeah, Project 25 is an attack on human rights and civil rights, especially for the Black community. So anything you can, anything post, the abolishment of slavery, anything post that, being able to get a home, being able to get better rates, being able to get credit. And listen, at one point, they didn't believe an African American person was trustworthy enough to have credit. So what if at one point, now even though we have a criminal on the ballot, or trying to become a president again, which is crazy, they would say, well, listen, that's good for me, but if a person is coming out of a bad situation or to protect themselves or whatever it is, I don't want you to be able to better yourself. I don't want you to do rehabilitation. I don't want you to be able to get a credit card or get this or whatever. Or better yet, the redlining is there too. Now, the simple fact is, the brothers in the community, brothers and sisters in the community, I understand you feel like you're doing well, but as I said to Miss Sunny, he will tell you how to get the money, but he also will make sure that you lose it and don't be able to get it back. He's not going to let anybody keep the money he don't want to be able to keep. You're going to get more taxes. You're going to get more red tape, more entanglements. Anything that's going to be harder, any way they can make it harder for the community. I mean, look, he's already attacking the Haitians, and they ain't doing nothing but trying to survive. And mind you, they coming from a very racist country, because the people that's controlling them are treating them like they in, a third world country and somewhere else, God knows. So, yeah. And I just wish that people who decide to vote for him, if this is their new savior, and I say that biting my tongue, that they would listen to the people who he brought into office the first time, of all races. And none of the people want anything to do with him. If they have not been sent to prison behind his mess, they're saying that he didn't, stick to his promises. Omarosa and other people. I can't name all the people, but there's a lot of people, who said this is what it is. So, why would the new voter for Trump consider themselves as right when the people who voted for him the first time feel totally, betrayed?
They're completely betrayed against this man. They feel they are against him, and they feel betrayed, and they feel like they were, hoodwinked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot of them, and a lot of them are voting for Kamala Harris. So back to Black men, how do you feel about what you're seeing in the polls, or what you're watching when it's pertaining Black men and not voting for Kamala Harris?
Well, I mean, I think for me, I'm disgusted by it. I'm confused. I'm confused, and I'm confused by how that could be, whatever. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I mean, how do you? Because the video that I showed earlier was a clip, when she had an interview with Charlamagne the God, and one guy stood up, one particular guy, because they asked questions, hard questions. I thought they were, good questions. He asked about reparations and how, how would she go forth with giving out reparations, and she gave her plan, that she had for Black men, which was she also recited the same plan that she normally, her economic plan, which is going to help Black people. So I guess that's her way of saying this is going to be part of your reparations. which was the $25,000 down for a home, money for a business. She's also has the thing for the Black men, healthcare infrastructure. What else was it? The whole marijuana thing, making it legalized marijuana. Also the what else was it? She has a plan. So she put forth this economic plan. Now, I don't know if the man felt like, okay, but then everybody's going to benefit from that. I want my reparations, because I can hear people now saying, okay, so how was that? How am I benefited from that? Those as far as reparations? So because I go to the comments and people were just, I'm just like, so earlier I said, Mel, when are Black people just going to stand up and say, you know what? I see what's out here and what policies are set. Let me take advantage of these policies and, laws that they have put in place for everyone. Let me take advantage of those. Some people are doing that because some people are doing their research. They're, going where they need to go. They're Googling. They're going to talk to, their state representatives or sit down with someone, their councilman or whomever. And they're sitting there and they are asking questions on how can I get ahead? Or, there are foundations that will help you, whether it is your credit or anything like that, that you need to learn how to start a business. There's classes, there's people on YouTube and on the internet, on Instagram, on TikTok, they're giving out classes. All you have to do is pay for them. They are the ones, they already researched this information to give to you if you want it. There are some fake people that's taking advantage of people, but there are a lot of people like this Ellie woman who I follow on IG, who started a business. She was up, and she's a Black woman. She started a business during the COVID. She had lost her, I think she quit her job, but her husband had left her with 3 kids, just up and left her. And she, she was like, okay, let me do what I need to do. She started this business. She started booming. She was on Instagram. She did what she had to do. Hi, Carol. And then it just blew up. And what she's doing is she's showing people how to get grants, what you can do to subsidize the money that you're making at your regular job, that you can probably transfer, quit your regular job and become your own business person. So it's like, and I just thought it was so, she's right now, the woman, the young lady moved to Senegal, got married, and she has a baby. She just had a brand new baby, a newborn. But she's living her best life, right? But she did all of that because what she do, she researched, she figured out what to do. She held her head, stayed true to her path and her goal. And now she's a very successful American woman that married an African man, and now she lives in Senegal. So there's that. But the information is out there. My thing is, this whole reparations thing, I understand that. I understand. But to feel like, I do believe that we, as descendants of slaves, should have some type of path forward, right? I don't think we should be like David Chappelle, give me my money, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? I don't think money's going to do it. But I think I don't know who Carol Canavan is. Carol Canavan, please stop. I don't think that there is I don't think we need to get a check. That makes sense. I think there should be some type of foundation set up where you can prove that you're a descendant of slaves, and you'll get some type of free education, free college, all your college paid for. If you have if you need to purchase a home or something, what she's doing that's part of her plan too, right? To benefit, that's going to help Black American people. And along with that, it's going to help everyone else. Like I said, just like civil rights helped everybody else, right? So it's the same thing, but other people are going to benefit from that. That's why she says when people get mad because they say that she doesn't really have an agenda for Black people. But they said the same thing about Barack Obama, right? When it's like, I put forth this stuff for you all, you have to go research it. I just can't sit up and say, oh, I'm here for the Black people, right? When half of them were saying he ain't Black enough. He ain't Black. His mama not Black. And this is the same thing they're doing with her, right? And so it's just like, you can't win for losing. And it's like an endless battle when it comes to Black American people, that we sit up here. Even when you see Black people, I read stuff sometimes where I see Black men go off on Black Cubans or Black Hispanics or Black Latino people. You know what I'm saying? So I see that you're not Black because you weren't a slave in America.
Yeah, they call it FBA, Foundation of Black American.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the ADOS pedos. I think the ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, they are hardcore. So, FYI, I've been in the bushes just writing a few contracts, amendments. So in work mode listening. Thank you, Blue Labels. So so for me, and Blue Labels actually sent me something, and I was trying to listen to it, but then I had to go live, and I'm gonna go back and listen to it. It was a very good podcast. Thank you for sending me that. So for me, I think that, the excuse me, what I would like to see after she did this interview with Charlamagne the God, I would really love to see Black people, and especially Black men, the ones that are still on the fence, step forward, and get into this race and vote for this woman. I think it'd be a good thing. I think once they see her policies and her economic plans, that it will benefit Black American people as well as everybody else. I think, and I hope, it will satisfy some of these Black men.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something? Because you just said something really good right there. You said satisfied. You know what? And I said last night, I don't know, maybe it's just the way I grew up. I don't get into pandering. I really don't. I'm not saying that she does. I'm saying that for me, in my energy field, I feel like when people ask the questions they ask, like the man did at that interview, or these people, talk about her and say, basically, this is what I feel, Miss Sunny. I'm hearing people say, convince me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you already made up your mind. It's a waste of time to try to convince a person who talks like that. Mm-hmm. It's basically they want to just sort of do you dirty, basically. They already made up their mind. There's nothing they making fun of you when you do that. Say, oh, I want you to convince me. You're going to change your mind. I don't believe when people talk the way they talk about her that they're going to change their mind. They're going to vote for Donald Trump, and that's just what they're going to do. And I think that, as me and you discussed, at the end of the day, it's going to take people like me and you and other people like us, whether she's in or not, to basically, go to our different community boards and keep the conversations going, because, whatever happens, we're going to be fine. But I think it's a waste of time to pander to these people who just already made up their minds. I really do. Also, what was I going to say? Oh my gosh, it was a lot. Yeah, I think that, I just think that it's, I don't believe that these people, this large voice of guys, are really open-minded enough to change their vote. I think they already made up their mind.
Yeah, I think some of them have too, but I think a lot of these Black men also that's not voting or not voting for her, and who are super disrespectful. I think a lot of them also just don't want a woman to be president.
Mm-hmm. And then also,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, 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 be sorry. And I was going to say, oh, I just thought about this too. Also, everybody has a list of concerns. They have all these concerns, and it makes me laugh. They think, okay, you have these concerns about, this, that, the money, the immigrant. Do you really, really believe that Donald Trump is going to solve your concerns? Like, even if you have concerns, even the things he talk about, I don't believe he has the brain capacity to fix it. You really need to be a sane individual to do the work that needs to be done in this country. I mean, I'm amazed that these people look at these politicians almost like Santa Claus. Like, okay, these are the problems. I want you to fix all this before November. That's not going to happen. That's not the. That's so stupid to me. I'm sorry to use the word, but it's stupid to me. We have two people on the ballot. It is a national crisis. This man is a national terrorist. So we got to vote for the person, even if you don't like it. It's just like we in a state of emergency. Vote for the sane person on the ballot. And then also write your concerns down on a piece of paper if you have to, and hold on to them for 4 years, and keep on going to your local officials to talk about this. But if you're a sane American, you know that we're in a state of emergency. You can only vote for Kamala Harris to keep the conversation going. When you put in Donald Trump, there would be no more conversations for the foreseeable future. As I told you, this country has a cancer. And in the day of the election, we're going to either decide to excuse my French, to cut that shit out, or we're going to basically go down with the ship, and we're going to be dying with the cancer, with him in office. That's the way I feel about it. There are a lot of issues. I mean, there's been issues, especially for our community, for over hundreds and hundreds of years that has not been solved. So how do we think it's going to be solved in a couple of days? Like, these people are getting on my nerves, Miss Sunny. They get on my nerves.
Right. They act as if it's supposed to happen within the 4 years. And like, while she's president, she's not even president. It's like she's Vice VP. The things that I'm hearing is like, I don't trust her. What do you not trust about her? Like, what is it? Oh, because she locked. I mean, I played a video earlier. She locked up all these thousands of black men, and which is not true. And this man is in Georgia, so I know this particular man in that video is not voting for her. He's voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and go ahead. I was gonna say, and the funny thing to me too, I grew up that you did not trust a person who was a total unapologetic criminal. That was one thing I grew up. That was what I grew up believing. Also, you did not trust a person who thought that Jeffrey Epstein was a stand-up guy. That was that we didn't do that when I grew up. So these men are garbage to me. Like, you trust a person who was cavorting with the predator, and you trust a man who was being predatory towards women, out there being worse than Diddy. Like, really? What the hell? We only have one person. So you talking about trust? Don't make me laugh. That man is not trustworthy. I wouldn't trust him to give me the time of day, more or less, try to run this country.
Right.
No.
And I find it crazy, because remember last night the conversation was, well, she let all these criminals out. They let all these criminals out. And I'm just like, well, yeah, Donald Trump is walking around free as a bird.
Come on now.
Free as a bird. He has 34 felonies. He has sexually assaulted a woman. He lost that. He owes her $80 million. I mean, what? He gets to walk free. He's committed fraud. He started a coup, an insurrection, and he's walking around free. He should not even be running for president of the United States, let alone be a free man, because he committed treason against America. That's treasonous, what he did. So I don't understand why people just bypass all of that, because that's fake news. Just like he sat there on the interview. I never, they make up all kind of stuff when he said that he should take out military police and military to the American people. And who are those American people? Black people. Because that's all you see. Those are all the videos that they ever show are of young black men and young Hispanic men in California. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, that go into these stores and do whatever, trash these stores out and steal whatever. No one agrees with that. I definitely don't agree with it. I don't know what's happening in California. You know what I'm saying? But that's, I believe, who he's talking about. Protesters. He's talking about those people. Now, like I said yesterday, that's crazy that no one can speak their mind about him and say what they want to say, right? Freedom of speech. So on one hand, you're talking about freedom of speech. What's his little friend over there, the VP, JD
Elon Musk.
Not him too. So
Mm-hmm.
you're saying Elon Musk.
Oh, the Vance person, JD Vance.
And JD Vance.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to take away your freedom of speech. She's trying to take away your freedom of speech. Well, Donald Trump is trying to take away my freedoms, all of them, my civil rights, my choice to be who I want to be. You understand what I'm saying? If I want to sit down, drop down, and start praying, I can't do that because you're telling me Project 2025. This is just going to be a Christian country. Period. They're already putting Bibles in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump Bibles in schools. Carol, I will have you blocked because I ain't for it today. Okay, I don't need to hear none of your Kamala Harris is not normal giving black men. Black men, she ain't giving them anything. They already smoking, ma'am. So I don't know where you live at, Carol, but they already smoking and been smoking it. And so do white men. They smoke weed too. So this, all of this that's happening with Donald Trump and this fascist talking and his fascist talking points is scaring people. It is literally scaring people. I watched the video. I was watching Don Lemon, and a young guy, young white man, was saying, what the hell is going on? If I'm watching a football game, all I see are Donald Trump commercials telling me how evil and how bad this person is. And all his commercials are and how bad these people are and how bad America is. And all these people, these immigrants that are coming into the country is bringing diseases and doing this and killing and maiming and blah, 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 blah. And he said, and now I'm scared because the way they put it out to me is like, Donald Trump will fix it. And I feel like they're talking to me. Now, this is what he's saying. I feel like they're talking to me that Donald Trump will fix it. Don't you worry. It's us against them. And Donald Trump is going to fix it. And he said, then you had the people that's in the blue states that are sitting up, laughing, drinking. Oh, yeah, I can't wait till I take my trip to Mexico. Oh, I can't wait till I get to ski on the Alps. Oh, I'm sitting here drinking my special coffee. And he said, and the next few days, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cross the state lines. So, because I feel, this is what he said, because I feel like I'm gonna be in a concentration camp. Anxiety way up here.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was the only one that wasn't eating or sleeping. And then I'm looking at Don Lemon's chat and everybody in that chat, which was over 2,000 people in that chat, basically saying they're not sleeping good at night. They are worried. They are scared. They are, I don't know what to do. These are the comments that these people are making. Because it's what Donald Trump is saying is scary. It is history repeating itself. Now, I don't know if you know who James Carville is, who was a big time Democratic person that helped Obama win. He helped Clinton win.
Oh yeah. He's a white guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So from Louisiana. So
That's right.
he said, black men, Project 2025. That's what you're voting against. Project 2025. In Project 2025, they will start implementing stop and frisk. Remember, last night I was telling this young Hispanic guy last night. I said, Omar, what do you look like? Do you look Hispanic? Because they're gonna start stopping everybody, even me, born and raised, descendants of slaves, right? In this country, generational. I'm generational. I'm American. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to start stopping me. They're going to ask me, are you Haitian? What are you? This is just the facts of it. You can't tell me any different. You cannot tell me the way Donald Trump is speaking. I'm gonna have to have my birth certificate on me, a license as to where I live, right? And probably have to be at home at a certain time. I'll have a curfew at 12 o'clock. I'm 53 years old. Now, some people, that's how I feel. That's my opinion. The way Donald Trump is speaking is the same way that Hitler did to the Jews.
Right.
Same thing. We'll be walking around here, crossing through gates, you know, trying to get to the red state where I'm from. Get over there and say, you know what? Hey, mama, how you doing? But she might be over here trying to visit a friend. What you doing crossing over here? Because over there in these red states, they'll have all the good stuff. They have your Saks Fifth Avenues. They're going to have your best groceries, they already do it now. Think about it. Right? In certain areas, they have your high-end stores. They have you have your Whole Foods. You have your Sprouts. In Houston, you have your H-E-B's, or your central markets. Normally, those are in the better parts of the neighborhoods. They don't have no Whole Foods in no black neighborhoods, right? Not Hunger Games. Yeah, Hunger Game. Yeah, Hunger Games. I never seen it, but yeah. Exactly. I thank you. That's all I need to say. Hunger Games, and it will be Hunger Games. You know, that's how I see it, and I think that's where Donald Trump's mind is, because you know he loves his blacks. I love my blacks.
Yeah, he loves his blacks, but he gonna lead them right in the food desert. So I think that was.
He's voted.
Huh?
If he's voted in, yeah.
Yeah, leave them because what you're talking about, that's those communities. I've seen documentary stuff when people in California and Compton or Louisiana or Missouri or different places where all they have is 99-cent stores in their communities. They don't have, the fresh vegetables. They don't have, and they call those food deserts. And you're supposed to be able to get, quality supermarkets in different communities so people don't have to eat all the processed food and then have the pre-existing conditions that also, God forbid, another pandemic comes in and wiped out that community out. And then they get told they had to put Lysol on their chest. So this is where I'm thinking, don't get caught up on those stimulus checks. We got to vote, for your health, So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I was nervous before, but again, I at the end of the day, I pray, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We're going to do what we can, do these shows. We talk to our local people and hope for the best. I mean, at the end of the day, what else can we do?
So Justin said, half of my family is from Ukraine. I am the second generation born and raised here. If Donald gets in, I'm getting out, and I will fight his presidency from a foreign country.
Okay.
That's what's up. Let me say this also. Donald Trump says that he will stop the war between Ukraine and Russia. And I told Eric, I've said before, I said, y'all got to go watch The Grab, the movie, the documentary, The Grab, about what is happening. And we are helping Ukraine fight this war because it's detrimental to the world, according to the documentary that I saw. The Grab. I suggest everybody go watch it because it's deep. I mean, it's real deep. Americans are not there. Americans are giving them weapons to fight, which they are building and sending over to Ukraine, which brought up the job, percentages of people working and build, because they're building weapons, military weapons, to send to Ukraine. Because it's like Ukraine is buying them. It's not like we're giving it to them. They're, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how war works, but it's something like that. So Donald Trump will literally stop giving Ukraine weapons, and he will allow Putin to go in and take over Ukraine. Once he does that, he will begin to take over other places like Poland and everywhere else. And he will have authority and control of food sources that America relies on. And this is according to The Grab, the documentary. So that which will affect the world, which is insane. It's not just about wheat. It's about
Or stimulus checks.
right. So it's about, we have to stop saying, well, I'm over here starving and I don't eggs $10. And I don't understand why we giving all this money over here to these other people that hate us, but yet we over here starving to death. Bruh, when was it good? Please don't sit here and say, oh, it was good and when Donald Trump was in office. 1 million people passed away American people when Donald Trump was in office. Number one, he gave C-19 tests to Russia, to Vladimir Putin, so he can be tested and make sure he would survive. Because I guess he's a germaphobe too, from my understanding. He's a weirdo. And didn't when American people desperately needed those tests, he gave it to Russia. The Kremlin actually said, yes, that happened. Those are facts. Okay, we're not talking about the book. We're talking about the Kremlin said, yes, Donald Trump did give COVID test, a C-19 test to Putin instead of giving it to the American people. He doesn't care about the American people. Donald Trump doesn't care about anyone but himself. And people will walk around and say, oh yeah, he's narcissist. I know that he's a narcissist, but he loves this country. A narcissist, the definition of a narcissist is not loving someone else, it's loving themselves.
Themselves,
Okay?
that's right. Mm-hmm.
That's it. He loves himself.
Right.
He never takes accountability for anything that he does. Just like I said, he sat there and said, oh no, I did not say that. They're coming after me. They're doing this to me. I'm the most, person. No one has ever came after a president the way they come after me, sir.
And nobody in the history of America, nobody's came after America as much as this president or this ex-president. Again, he's a national terrorist. That's why people go. But I was going to say too, not to change the interview that you played on Fox News. Was one thing I was thinking about too. It's so crazy to me. Here she is going into these spaces that are, hostile. And they're like, oh, I want, she's not doing good. But the simple fact is, he's not doing that. He's not going to NBC and other places. He's not going out his comfort zone. He's staying right in his little bubble. And he's one of, so yeah, I think that's crazy to me. He's a coward in comparison.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Fox News interview that Kamala did, I'm like, well, she did well, but they're saying how bad she did. Oh, it was awful. She stalled in this moment. It's like they're breaking down every little thing that she says, but they don't even break down everything that
Trump does.
That
he don't do, because you know what? We don't see him on The View. So the thing is for me, her going to Fox is like him going to see Miss Whoopi Goldberg at The View. So
yeah, he won't sit up there with Whoopi.
No, he won't.
He's not going to sit there with Whoopi. He's not going to sit up there with, or he's not going to sit on The View. He's not going to do NBC. He's not going to do Joy Reid. He's not going to take those hard-hitting questions.
No, he's not
doing that. He wants someone to praise him, and lift him up and put him on a pedestal, right? Because that's all he thinks about. It's always about him. When he set up there talking about how he got shot in his ear, had a whole maxi pad on his ear. I got you. The dude, he went on a podcast, and the guy said, I didn't see a mark on his ear. I was sitting right next to, I was looking for like some type of, wound or a scar on his ear. He said, I didn't see anything. Because he didn't get shot. Everybody knows that. And the closer we get to election time, the more I believe, yeah, you did not get whatever shot at. I just don't believe it. Sorry, I don't believe it. I think you did it for sympathy, because that was the time Joe Biden That was before Joe Biden stepped down, right? Yeah, it was before Joe Biden stepped down. And then when Kamala came, because he's doing whatever he needs to do. Because see, at the end of the day, Joe Biden was going to win anyway. He was going to win anyway. That's facts. I don't care what anybody say. I think people just were not talking. They weren't enthused about it, but people would have went and voted. And I think they would have got up and said, let me go in here and vote. Let me go. Because women are going to win this election. Black women and white women. White women are literally, they're coming out to vote, and they're going to come through because they know the one thing about white women is they sit there and they say, no, you're not going to take away my freedoms. Because here's the thing. A lot of these women know what it was like to be in the 80s and have to depend on a man to get a credit card, right? They know about that. And they say, I'm not doing that. I don't want to live, in Handmaid's Tale. I'm not doing that. I want to go out here, shake my ass and do everything, be naked and do everything I want to do.
Right. But you know what I think too, Miss Sunny, you see that I agree with you. And I wish I wish that more people, and because that's the thing, that's where I go to. I would try to tell people, and what I've taught to people in my life, I go, as I just said, let's table it. Let's not really go, okay, this is do or die. The simple fact is we have a lunatic on the ballot. That's just what it is. As Americans, we should see that, be conscious of that, and go, you know what? If I'm for her or if I'm for somebody Republican, I have concerns, and I have to basically not put I can't put my concerns in the hands of Donald Trump. I have to put it into my local politicians. I have to talk to my local government for the next couple of years about the things I'm concerned about. You cannot give. Yeah, that's what I see. I feel like I'm not telling people not to have concerns. Have your concerns if you need to, but please talk to your local officials. Do not this November, in my opinion, vote for Donald Trump, because he's not going to be able to handle any of the issues.
Right. He's not, and he's
No.
already losing his mind.
So that's what I think. I think a lot of times the Trump people are like, oh, trying to no, have your concerns. I don't agree with your concerns. I don't agree with a lot of concerns they have, but I'm not going to tell you not to have them. Have them if you need to. Have your concerns, but you just, at the end of the day, and in my opinion, it's almost like, and I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like if Osama bin Laden was on the ballot and we had Kamala Harris, like, would you vote for Osama bin Laden? That's the connection I make with Trump, in my opinion. He's not a person that I would consider even an American. Obviously, he's so connected to Russia. So if you have Osama bin Laden on the ballot and you have Kamala Harris, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. You have to see it that way. He is a terrorist.
Right.
And if you see it that way, you have to be grown and go, you know what? I wish a Republican was on the ballot that I can vote for. That person, man or woman, is not there this year. They're not there. And I'm sorry about that for you, but that's what it is. So just hold on to your concerns. Somebody trying to tell you to change your concerns about being a Christian or conservative, or you're uncomfortable about gay, lesbian, or trans, or whatever the thing. Those are not my things. But if you have these issues, you just have to swallow. This is the lunatic we have. What's going to happen is, hopefully, when Trump loses, and I hope he does, the people who do have these concerns, please look up your local officials to find out who represents you. Go to those meetings, call into those, not because that's what I've done over the pandemic. I didn't know these people, but I remember talking to you all these years ago. I said, oh, Miss Sunny, I found this website called Who Represents Me, and I had a good time with it. I've joined my local community board. I talked to my local officials, and now I'm participating in things. That's probably why I don't feel as hopeless as some other people might feel, because the people I'm talking to, Miss Sunny, they're like, oh, don't worry about it. This is what you're going to do. Even if he gets in there, these are the things we're going to do in 2025 and 2026. There's an action plan when you talk to your local officials. You don't feel as scared if you that way. So I just think that the people got to grow up. These people out here loving Trump. If you're Republican, find another Republican. Work on that, and that's what I think. Because right now, in my opinion, he's a terrorist.
He is. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's an American terrorist, and he has American terrorists falling right in line. Who wants to be in a party with a person that white supremacists love? Why would you want to be in that party, right? Let's not give. We got to stop with the excuses. We have 2 weeks left. We really need to, or 3 weeks left. We need to start really saying what, like Michelle Obama said, do something. Put down your phone, stop complaining, and do something. And that's go to the booth and vote if you are registered to vote. Because now registration is over, done with. It's a wrap. You gotta go vote if you are registered to vote. Early voting is the key, right? So if you have, I think, 2 weeks within early voting to get there, maybe a week to get out there and vote.
Oh, can I say this too, Miss Sunny? I would say also what we got to say is call your local board of elections, please. At this point, if you're registered or not registered, and like Miss Sunny is saying, call them, because whatever the issue is, more times, a lot of times they can help you, especially when it's not crazy and going out of berserk. When election day come, it's terrible. So right now, if you have any concerns about voting or you don't know what's going on, you can go into your local board of election, call them up real quick. This is a good time to do it, and work out whatever issue may be there, and then try to vote this week, next week, whatever. Try to do it as soon as possible. But your board of election is where you want to talk to right now. This is where you want to focus at. Call them as early as you can in the morning, look them up, and then that's it.
Exactly. Tomorrow I will do a quick video on where you can go do your early voting in certain states that I found. And I'll explain it. I'll do a small video and I'll put it out so you'll know what you need, who to call, who to look up for you to go early vote, and when your early vote starts, or early voting starts in your particular state, wherever state you're in. So anything else, Mel? It's been 2 hours.
No, that's it. I'm pretty good.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming up, having this discussion. Any last words?
You know what, everybody, listen. You know what? No, I'm trying to think. I guess when it get late, I don't listen. This was a good conversation, and I'm glad you're doing it. And I think it's gonna be okay.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. I pray to God. I look
Me
up and
too.
said, when I walked out, when I put it in my ballot and I was walking, I said, Lord Jesus, help us, please.
Mhm.
I swear to God, I did. So
Lord Jesus, please help us exorcise
please help
this
us.
demon out of this damn country. That's what we're going to do.
Yes.
And basically, and I mean it with all reverence. I'm not even joking. I mean that. But
Yeah.
it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. All right. Well, I'll let you close out the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you. So I want to thank everybody for coming over and supporting this channel. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said, tomorrow I will come on tomorrow. I will do a video. I will send out a video, and I might go live. It depends on what's happening. I will do a short video though that gives you the information on where early voting has already began and what you need to have when you go vote. Okay. Justin K said mail-in ballots go out on the 18th, this Friday, at least here in Washington State. Okay. So there you go. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Justin, for being here and revealing some information about yourself. Pray for your family in Ukraine. We gonna do what we can so we don't get the man in this crazy man in office, so we can keep moving forward. Thank you, Blue Labels, for being here. I need to make you a mod with restrictions. Thank you, Spiritual Gangster Val. Thank you for being here, Miss Val. Thank you. I think Samaya was in here earlier. Thank you for being here. Norris was here. Who else was over here? And the people that are watching, thank you all for being here and supporting this channel. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, please. I'm trying to reach a goal here. Share the video. Thank you, Marcella, for being here. Share the video because she's always sharing my videos. And yeah, and anybody else that I missed, I'm sorry that I missed you. Who was this? Thank you. Norris and James. Thank you, James, for being here. So guys, look, we're going to keep hope alive. We're going to stay positive. Like I said, we hope that Black men will come out. I know the majority of Black men are going to come out and vote. This is going to be a very, very, very close election. But we are going to keep talking to people. I still get out there and I'm still talking. I already voted, but I'm still out there talking to people, making sure the people that I speak to encourage them to get out and vote, you know, blue. And I start conversations on purpose with people when I'm out, to not brash, not rude, just very, you know, just let's have this conversation real quick and understand other people's views. Thank you, Intellectual Box, for being in here as well. So start conversations, small little conversations, you know, and just put out bullet points. Like I said before, Project 2025 is real. Find your a bullet point out of that may affect you and your community. Okay. And stress that point. I believe in Black men. I believe Black men are strong individuals. I truly, really do. And I believe they are going to come through. Most of them anyway. You can't help everybody. Okay. So I'm going to love on y'all later. I love you guys very much. And I will see you next time. Y'all have a good night and stay blessed. Get some rest. Love you.